Hi everyone, I'm Ann Ballard and I'm the owner and founder of the Crowning Jewels. And I have a story that I want to share with you. A story of God's amazing provision and his breathtaking goodness and how that has recently been manifested in my life. It's a personal story, so I'm going to kind of give you a behind the scenes glimpse at what's been going on and what God has been doing in my life. Have you ever faced an impossible situation where if God doesn't move, even in a miraculous way, you know that you won't be able to move forward, or that you won't see the fruit of your heart's desire fulfilled? Well, if you have, then you can relate. And that's exactly where I found myself in the fall of 2017. And I was coming out of one of the hardest seasons of my life. And I'd had a lot of loss. I'd lost some really close family members, including my dad and the only two grandparents I'd ever known, within a span of about 18 months. And there were just a lot of other really hard things during that time. And I started to realize that I was homesick. I'm from Austin, Texas. That's where I've grown up. And 10 years ago, I moved out to Redding, California to be a part of what God is doing here and to go to ministry school, which absolutely changed my life in the best possible way. So after about 2 years of being homesick, this last fall, God started speaking to me again about Texas, and the idea of leaving had felt so impossible. I mean, I'd built my business here, I'd moved my parents here, my mom was still here, and she had dementia, and conventional wisdom would say that's not wise to move her across the country like that. And so the previous 2 years, I just laid that desire down. It felt honestly too impossible and too big for God, which now, as I say it out loud, sounds ridiculous. But in the moment, that's exactly how it felt. And so I realized later that I never even asked him about it. And so this last fall, God started speaking to me really plainly about moving back to Texas, only this time it was Fort Worth that he was highlighting. And I have a really small family. I'm an only child and I'm not married. And so the only family that I have apart from my mom is in Fort Worth. And honestly, I've never been able to live in the same town as my family my whole life, other than my parents. And so that was something that was just a deep heart's desire, to be able to build a life with people that I'm related to. And so anyway, God started speaking really plainly about that to me, and highlighting it with just mind-boggling ways. Confirmation everywhere. Literally every friend and person that I told that I was moving was just like, that's a good idea. And so that was just really sweet. And so in early October, I took what I thought was a scouting trip to find the neighborhood that I wanted to live in, or even the city, because the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is there's cities that run into each other, and neighborhoods and everything. And so I thought that trip would be, I'd find the neighborhood or the city that I wanted to live and find a place for mom and everything. But instead, I found my dream house, and it all lined up. And it was just so sweet how the Lord met me through that whole series of events. One of the other big confirmations was that Bethany, who is one of my closest friends, but also works for me and is on my team, independent of my decision, decided also to move back to Texas to be close to her family. And so that, to Fort Worth specifically. And so that was confirmation. And as we pressed in to kind of pray about that, like, the Lord was just really highlighting, wholesale, focusing on women's conferences and church bookstores and all of those kinds of things, because there's so many wonderful ministries in that area. And in the beginning, it was scary to think about, expanding and growing a different side of the business. But he's just met us there, and we ship more to Texas than any other state. So we know that Texans love what we do and what we make, and so that's really exciting to see how the Lord is going to meet us. And so, kind of as a way to celebrate this new season, we came out with some new pieces, as many of you have already seen on social media. But we came out with this sweet, dainty little bracelet that says "Home" on it, and it's specifically something that y'all have been asking us for. And then this necklace, which was something that I had really been wanting from just a fashion sense. I'd really been several times gone, like looked in my closet for a short, chunky necklace. And so we're really excited to launch this new style because it still has the 5 elements on it. So I just kind of wanted to explain a little bit of what this necklace means. The home obviously is because I'm going home, but I also feel like it relates to a lot of you. A lot of people are in the process of coming home, and it may not look like a geographic or a physical relocation like mine does, but I do believe it's coming back to God. And it may not mean that you've left God or you've turned away or anything so dramatic, but it may just be that he's calling you home in a deeper way than you've known him before. And my prayer and what I'm sensing just in the spirit is also that we are entering into a time where prodigals are coming home. And so I love that kind of hidden meaning in that word as well. And the hummingbird, to me, represents that nothing is impossible. And I got that because as I studied the hummingbird, it's the only bird that can fly backwards. And so that just spoke really plainly, like nothing is impossible. And I have a little update since I wrote this blog on Mom. As I said earlier, conventional wisdom would say that a move like this at this point in her disease and everything at this point in her life is not wise. But she is doing better in Texas because she doesn't just have me to see. Other families going to visit her, and she knows them, and she's improving. And that doesn't even make sense from a medical perspective, but God. The leaf represents a new season. Obviously, this is a new season. I also feel like it's a new season for a lot of people. The more, to me, references Ephesians 3:20, that God is doing more than we could ask or think. And then the circle with the crystal is one of my favorite charms. And that, to me, means the desires of your heart, that he's giving us the desires of our heart. So I hope that these pieces bless you, and hearing a little bit of my story, there's something in there for you to grab onto. So we love you. Thanks for tuning in.